So I was on Instagram today and I saw a post about how in the near future, I can't remember the year, it was 2020 something, and it's 2025 right now. So let's say within the next 5 years at the most, there is a company that is looking to produce a pill where it will be able to give you a couple years on the back end of your senior dog's life. And the way it does that is it mimics certain hormones or certain just biomarkers in the body that are common with a calorie restriction, which is funny because you could just put your dog in a calorie restriction to get the same effect. However, let's say your dog's lean, they don't need to lose weight, calorie restriction isn't really the best thing because they're going to be losing weight then as they're seniors. So the funny thing to me about this whole thing is the fact that I don't think people think about the fact that you could be giving this type of benefit to your dog through their whole entire life, through exercise, calorie restriction, through calorie restriction itself, aka not only just lowering the food intake on a daily basis, but also fasting them from time to time as well. I love doing a day fast for my dogs. I think it's super beneficial. I think it's super natural for them, and I think that just getting them to this point where you're kind of looking at the back end of their life throughout their entire life is a really good lens to look through as a pet owner. And that is because let's say you even do get to the end of your life where they have this pill where you could get a couple extra years with your dog. Are they going to be at a stage where that point of body composition, quality of life is going to be worth extending? Do you want to have a dog that's already struggling and then extending that out longer? No. You want dogs to be enjoying all parts of their life, regardless of its puppy, adult, or senior. So their building of the puppyhood and the adulthood stages, those are all super beneficial to get a happy and healthy senior dog. So when I feed my dogs great food and I get them out every day and I am focusing on quality of food, that's not just a now thing, that's a later thing. I look at those things as investments into me putting into my dog for their later years in life and actually being able to enjoy them. I look at it as a way that I can directly get more, not only time, but quality time with my dog on the back end. And this is one of those hills that I'm just willing to die on. You can't tell me that a dog who lives on shit kibble, which would be the equivalent to just fast food for humans their entire life, is then all of a sudden going to be a healthy senior dog. It's just not going to happen. You see it all the time with senior adults. It's the people who are moving every day. It's the people who prioritize movement and nutrition in their early parts of their life that enjoy the later parts in their life. The people who are in wheelchairs and are overweight and do not really care about those things, it hits them very fast when they're old, and the second they stop moving, everything goes downhill fast. And it's very sad, but it's a lesson that we could take into our dogs because, they live for so much shorter amounts of time. They're living for a decade, maybe 15 years at best. I've had 2 dogs die at the age of 2 and 3, and it's one of the saddest things. But you know what else is sad? A dog that gets to be to that older age and is just decrepit, can't walk, can't chew its food because you never cared about its tooth quality. That's another thing that happened with one of my dogs is I had a bulldog who lived to be 10, and I thought he was done around 7. He was really digressing in quality of life. And then I got my dog Moose. Moose is a 150-pound Cane Corso. I got him at 14 weeks. He was 42 pounds. And when I saw how big he was, and they were suggesting that I fed him like 6 cups of kibble, I was like, that doesn't really seem the best for him. So then I started switching into caring about nutrition, caring about the quality of kibble, and my bulldog benefited from that so much because he went from being unhealthy as a 7-year-old to then those last 3 years of his life, me really focusing on nutrition. And he had lost all the fur on the side of his body. He had an issue where he stopped producing tears, so I thought he was going blind. Both of those things were fully reversed just through nutrition. And yes, I did go to the vet and I got medication for them, and he was able to be taken off that medication and live the rest of his life as just a dog, just a dog with no input medication wise. But the one thing that did happen is because I never cared about the quality of his teeth, he had rotted teeth. Basically, he couldn't really chew anything when he got older. And that became a real issue where I had to soak all his food. It had to be mushy many times. It was unfortunate. He would choke and he'd be out, and I literally had to like shove my hand down his throat and bring him back. And not good situations. So what I'm getting back to is like the end of his life could have been better if I cared more in the earlier parts of his life. Those were things that I could have easily kind of taken the stress away from me and him with if I just had a little bit of foresight when he was younger. So, you know, I always tell my clients this, and the thing is you don't know what you don't know. So you can't beat yourself up about situations like that. I didn't know any better, and that's ultimately how I learned a lot of this stuff. But point being is, think about how much you care about your dog's later quality of life now. Right now matters how they will live later on. And that's not to say that, you know, shit can't happen and they won't even make it to older in life, because like I said, I'm well aware about that too. But let's at least give them a fighting shot, right? See you in the next one.